Well, welcome back, folks. Mad for Steam here once again, and we are really getting very close. This week, we're going to drop the boiler in, we'll get the cladding on the boiler, and we'll do the backhead fittings. Now, I was really hoping to have this elusive video from Mike Pavey. He's had a few issues, but he's definitely making it on Tuesday. But it shouldn't be a problem. We can leave the boiler in situ and then figure the timing out next weekend. But of course, then we'll be heading towards the Horncastle show. Details are here, and hopefully you can come and see me. Comments, lots of comments this week on injectors, return cranks, and of course I'll be announcing at the end of the video our winner for the Stirling hot air engine. So without further ado, let's crack on. But before we move on to the build itself, this is an amazing bit of news. My first collaboration with Stirling KIT. Now, Stirling KIT are a large Chinese company established in 2009, and they've sent me a couple of their kits to review. So after we finished with this 1500 build, we'll be straight on to the Stirling KIT engine. Now, I haven't seen this. I'm literally unboxing this for you as we speak. So you'll get my honest reaction. You get my honest reaction anyway. I tell you what, first thoughts, UK companies could learn an awful lot about presentation and packaging. I feel I own this. It looks lovely, just the packaging. Okay, instructions. Well, if you're short-sighted, there you go. And then, oh my goodness. Well, let's have a look at the flywheel. You know what? I cannot knock the quality. I'm not saying this. There are companies in the UK, and I'm not knocking them either. Reeves, Blackgate Engineering, Cotswold Heritage, Stewart Models. You can buy castings from them. You have to have a lathe. You have to have machining skills. But this, the quality, I just can't fault it. And again, we've got to have a look at the governor. A very nicely detailed piece. And I mean, I'm not going to knock this. It is beautifully machined. I'm really looking forward to building this, and a great thanks to Roberta from Stirling KIT, because, well, you've made my day, and hopefully if you tune in December when this one's done, I'll make your day too. Now, thank you all once again for helping me out with all your very useful comments and tips. I'm not going to read them all out, but I have picked 3. This one comes from Steamnut84, and he reckons, and I think, you know what, he's absolutely spot on, that these return cranks could be indexed in with a pin. You know what, that is so logical, it makes so much more sense. Everything else on the loco has been designed to be refitted, yet you have to time these. I'm not going to read the comment, you can read it yourself. I think there are 3 good reasons for this. You know it goes back as it was taken apart. There's no fiddly Allen bolts to tighten up from the inside of the frames, and it can't work loose and affect the timing later on. Imagine getting under here with the boiler on to get your Allen key through to fix the reverse cranks that may have moved slightly. And this one comes from Fladder1, who's rather cleverly combined his entry into the competition with a great explanation of how steam injector works. Again, I'm not going to read the comment out, but please feel free to pause the video and read it at your own leisure. This comment has come from Highball Machine Works, who's asked me to give a massive shout out to a fellow YouTuber called Heiss. And without Heiss's input, he's done a whole video on Steam 101, and check that video out, because without that, then Highball Machine Works wouldn't have Heiss's video to reference, and I couldn't share the news with you. And finally, here's a top tip from Ken Grubb 3339, who actually says, when finished steaming, simply inject some WD-40 up the injector outlet, and there's the injector outlet there, I mean, it's simple, isn't it? It's logical, it's simple. Yeah, quick squirt up there stops things from furring up. And a bit more activity last week on these fantastic Model U figures. Now, I did have a couple of comments through the forums saying, what was the website, despite it being just there? We'll put it up on screen. So it's www.modelu3d.co.uk. And I have done a little bit. I've made some rather rough and ready bases. They're not going to be perfect. They're a bit industrial, but they at least will fit because they're on the same planking. And because these figures are so heavy, I've used some car tyre balancing weights just to put them on there, just so they stand up. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will spot these figures actually came printed in dark grey. I've given them a waft over of my Simonized white primer, not too much, just to bring the detail out. But this is where I want your comments, please. You know I'm pants at painting figures, and I've been to museums and I've seen big exhibits with painted figures looking kind of black and white or in relief. So the question is, should I leave them as they are, or should I risk ruining them and paint them? Or have you got a better idea? Sorry, I should have said wheel rim balancing weights, but I'm sure you get what I mean. Now, I get through a load of these from my 16mm modelling, so I put them underneath my wagons just to add some weight. I reckon with that box, I probably am never going to run out. Now, remember last week I told you the Smokebox was only held on by 2 bolts just for show. I will admit, though, to making a massive mistake. So here's my top tip. Do not luliffle this bit in. This bit kept on falling off the handrail, and I was having a devil's own job trying to get it back on. What I should have done is just leave it off, but I thought, no, I'll leave it on. But that means that the handrail now extends beyond the Smokebox, so I'm likely to catch it. So I've used my tip 2 trick of putting some extra tape on there. And also remember to leave the Smokebox dart removable. And then you should be able to, once you've taken the 2 bolts out, take the Smokebox off. And notice, top tip 3, I've used some more tape just to stop the bottom of the Smokebox scratching where it joins the Smokebox saddle. So before we start working on the boiler, another top tip, this blowdown pipe is always getting in the way. Whenever I'm fitting the boiler, it gets caught, I bend it, look at the state of it. So for once and for all, before we mess around with it, now you've got to take this one, obviously put it in a safe place. Oh, shit. So before we can add the wrapper here to the boiler to cover this cladding, we do need to take the safety system, safety valve off. Now these are held in by 5mm bolts, and you can see I can get a nut spinner onto there. That's fairly easy. However, the 2 at the front, you really need to get a small 5mm spanner on to spin those off. Now, if you go to the accessory box, and that's the box that's got your vac pipes, your couplings and your running numbers, you are provided with a spare gasket. I don't think you'll need it, but you might, so we've got one anyway. With those 5mm bolts all removed, hopefully that comes off, and actually the gasket comes off with it, so that's kind of handy. Now this is where you need 4 hands, because these small bolts have to come out, and as soon as you do that, then the ribs just peel off. So you don't really want to let them do that. Now also in the accessory box, you're presented with 4 of these. So these go on the outside and they bolt in like that, giving you some adjustment when you come to do the other side. So we're going to get these in first. Now we're guessing a bit here, but these long ones obviously allow you for adjustment. And I really didn't know why I didn't think of this before, but we don't want these rings popping out. So I'm going to lay masking tape. We're going to need masking tape here in any case to hold the boiler together that way when we put the wrapper on. But now with this masking tape, this should stop these boiler bands, that's the correct name, from pinging out. So what we're going to do is we're going to test fit it, but before we do that, we're just going to have a look at the top of the boiler. So before we try and fit the bottom bolts back in, there are 2 points of reference. The first one being the top. You need to get that square. So if Jordan can lift up the boiler for me and support it, I'll take those away and we'll slide the wrapper on and up. I've got that end, Jordan. Let's see if we can get it. So that, beautiful. So all we do then is put that into place, and I'm hoping we can turn the boiler on its side to clamp it up. Now that wasn't too bad. I am just going to put the merest hint of Lulifil in there, because if they came undone, there's nothing to stop the boiler springing apart. Beware, because the threads into the cladding, they're very thin. Don't force them. If you do, you could easily strip a thread, then you're in trouble. But I tell you the good news, they did say in the instructions to put tape around it. It's easier with 2 people, but you don't need to compress. You see, look, there's still a little bit of flex there in the boiler. You don't need to compress it too much, and you can still move it so everything lines up. Now this circular piece is the Smokebox rear ring, and there's 2 ways of fitting it. First way is to fit it before you put the boiler in, but we chose not to do that because it makes it longer. We figured we'd have some more wiggle room, and it's only held in by 3 bolts here. They're 5.5mm bolts. Annoyingly, when you're tightening them up, you're taking the paint off, so a bit of black touch-up paint is required. Now, the way we did it, which is not in the instructions, and it probably needs 2 people, is to have somebody come along and gently lift the boiler up there so that you can get the ring in, then drop it down, then drop it into place. That's the way we chose to do it because we really wanted to get the boiler into position. Now this is the firebox upper cover, and it is a little tricky to fit because the threads, again, very much like when we locked the cladding into position, are thin, and we found the way to do it is the firebox cover slides underneath, that's where a thread's going to be, and then push this and compress it so that you can get that bolt through the boiler band, through the cladding, and screw home in the firebox cover. But there's no other threads, so it won't go unless you do that. The bonnet does go on one way or the other. This is the wrong way. You can see the holes don't line up, but as I've always said, if you rotate it through 180 degrees, that should bolt in. We'll do that now. Now this is one of the 2 top tubes, and these are, like most things in this kit, handed. So what we need to do, I don't know where Wanda's gone. Oh, here it is. You need to make sure that the holes line up there, and if those holes line up, you'll be able to bolt it in. Now the last stage that we're going to get up to today is put the remainder of the pipework, which is all the backhead pipework. This has all come from box 7. That's it when that's done. Now we could think about putting the smoke box on, but that's quite involved. It involves some lovely gloopy stuff. So with the timing issues still, we're going to come back to that later on in the build. So it's fairly obvious where the 4 main pipes go, these 2 upper pipes. One goes to the whistle, one goes to this lever here, and the 2 lower pipes go there and there. We know that these 3 pipes will go to the left-hand water tank, and you are going to need, sorry, I can't reference exactly reference the spanners, but these are slightly different sizes to attach these pipes. And then one final thing to do, if I had a brain about me, I'd have it on me, is just to snip off the cable ties, which have been incredibly useful. And now for the final time we can fit that pesky sight glass blow down valve, which just drops through the hole there. And this, I believe, is the brake control. It comes as all one unit, just with a thin pipe going in there. Now this pipe has to go down through the hole in the footplate, and the bottom of the steam brake pipe fits onto that steam brake assembly underneath. And again, we'll use the trick of rolling the chassis forward, and you can get at it without a jig or a cradle or anything like that. So it's been a bit of a cat's cradle. I have to say, there are no distinct instructions as to where the pipework goes, so we had to figure it out as we went along. But these are the last two pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, and they actually are part of the oiler assembly, which sits underneath the front of the boiler wrapper. We'll see if we can get them in. These final two pipes go to the lubricator. For the life of me, I can't see how they are going to join, but they should be joining these blast pipes here. Maybe we've got them the wrong way around. Remember what Mike Paley said? If it doesn't fit, don't bend it, swap them round. We're going to play with that, but at least we've established where they go. And they connect from the underneath to the oiler just here. There are two of these grates, and they do actually go in through the hole in the firebox. So you slide them in, they'll drop in. I'm not going to put them in now, and then I guess you use this pokey tool to spread them out. I have to say I am a little surprised that there's no ash pan on this, and so it looks like you're going to have to clean the boiler out by fitting your shovel down here and scooping the stuff out. I have seen other locos with an ash pan and some contraption that you can open it on. Again, please leave your thoughts in the comments. Have Silver Crest cheaped out on this a bit? I don't know. So, mystery finally solved. I hate having bits left over. We're still not quite sure, as I've mentioned, about these two pipes here. We'll worry about that when we come to fit the smoke box. We'll look at the timing. But really, apart from the smoke box, the two side tanks, the timing and the cab, we're pretty much there. We are going to call it time now, because gosh, aren't the nights drawing in? It's raining outside. Wait till the clocks go back in the UK. Anyway, time to look at the total build time. Currently we're up to about 16 hours. We can safely say another 3 hours on this kit, so we'll call it 19 hours in total. But now, before you go, here is the moment you've all been waiting for. Yes, it's the competition. We've had a lot of worthy entries, but I did say, as humorless as I am, I will judge it on your humour. And there is a clear winner here, and it's Mr. Tim Vins. And his reply was, I deserve to win because my name's Terence Hill. And look, Terence Hill has come to congratulate you. And he's flying on what could be a broomstick. It's a bit phallic, isn't it? Never mind, with Halloween fast approaching, I've got the finishing touch. There you go. Well, you don't get our Terry and you don't get the traffic cone, but you certainly, with my compliments, thanks for entering. Your Stirling kit will be on its way to you. You know the routine. You've got to enroll on the Mammoth forum. Then you can find me on Mad for Steam, PM me on there. Then we can exchange address details, and the rest is history. So we're not totally sure whether we're going to make next week. The reason is we do need to prepare for the Horncastle show. And by the way, here are the details. Again, it's on the 1st of November. I hope you can make it, and I hope you can see me there. But if we can, we'll get the timing video done for you, and we'll get the last bits on, and then we can actually have a big round of applause, because it's going to be an amazing finish to an amazing kit. So until next time, all that remains for me to say is, in my inimitable fashion, see you next time. Toot toot.